there, Martin here. Thank you for joining me for this week's turning project video. I hope you're all well and you have had a super creative Easter in your workshops all over the world. This week, as you can see, I'm starting the video in the kitchen because it is in context with this week's turning project, which is a pestle and mortar. Now, this pestle and this mortar are made from the same piece of beech, and as you can see, the mortar has three sides. It's a nice weighty piece, so when it's on the kitchen side you can dig into it nicely, and also the wings I've curved up like so you can even use it on your hip and keep a good hold of the piece whilst you're crushing your ingredients for a delicious salad now that the spring is here and summer's on its way. The inside's been finished with food safe oil and the outside has been finished with Danish oil. Not sanded down particularly finely. The outside has been taken down to 240 and the inside has just been taken down to 80 grit, purely because I want the ingredients to have something to kind of key to as you're crushing it up to make a delicious salad dressing. Now in the video I must apologise because when I was turning the pestle, the new overhead camera angle that I've got, I've been trying out, my head got in the way, so I am sorry about that, and next week's project video that won't happen because I'm making a few more changes. So yeah, without further ado, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. I've got some great things coming up in the next few weeks, and if you do feel so inclined, then please do leave a comment and I'll always get back to you. So for now, here is how I turned the pestle and mortar from a lump of beech. Right then, on the lathe this morning, I've got a triangular piece of beech. It's about 8 by 4 inches, about 8 by 4 inches, and I'm going to turn a three-sided pestle and mortar. Why three-sided? Well, because I fancy it and it's a bit different. So it's going to have quite a deep bowl in, but I want to have a larger foot as possible. So I'm going to put a foot on about that big, and then the corners are going to come up kind of, I think you can see that, kind of like that, and then the bowl is going to be, well, not sure yet, but it's going to come in I'm not an artist, or I'm certainly not a sketch artist, so the bowl's going to come down something like that, and then I'm going to use this piece of beech for the pestle. So that's the plan. As large a foot as possible. I might make it a little bit smaller, but I'm not sure yet. Because as you know me, I've got a vague idea, but I'm not absolutely certain. On this corner though, there is a little bit of checking, which I have filled with CA, and if that does happen to fly off, then I've got a little bit of room to play with as far as putting it right is concerned. I've not turned anything quite like this before, which is good for me and hopefully good for you. So yeah, let's get going with it. I'm quite excited. So face shield on, nice sharp bowl gouge. I'm going to bring the lathe up to speed. That's turning quite well actually. I've got to be really careful here because I'm going to be turning quite a lot of air as I sort of flatten off the bottom. recess in the bottom, so I need the compass, and I think I'd like quite a large recess in the bottom, so I'm going to open it up to about 65mm. It's about there. Diamond tip parting tool, speed the lathe up a touch. Right, now I can start making the shape that I want for the foot and also the curve up for the sort of the wings. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the shaping. When I get this rounded off with the hand sanding, I think that's going to be much nicer to hold, so you can fit it in your hip as well, hopefully. Yeah. Right, I'm going to finish the bottom off and the recess there, and then flip it over in the chuck so we can do the inside, because there's going to be a lot of hand sanding going on. The bottom and a little bit of the foot has been finished down to just 180. I don't want this piece to be bright and shiny and all opulent and stuff like that. I want this piece to be fairly rustic, fairly understated. So the piece has been finished down there to 180. It's been reversed in the chuck, and I'm going to square off the face here and work out exactly what I want to do with the bowl portion of the pestle and mortar. That's close enough for now. Right, where's the pencil gone? There it is. Now, whilst I was turning the outside of the piece, I was having a bit of a think about what I'd like to do, and although a flat top across to where the bowl's going to be would be really nice, I've decided instead I'm going to slightly concave round the corners over that way a little bit, slightly concave the piece, something like that, and then dive down to the bowl. I hope you can see that. So it's going to be slightly concaved and then down to the bowl itself. So it's going to look something like that, hopefully. I hope you can see that. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to start with making the outside concave in ever so slightly. So I'm going to take a scoop out of the whole thing and then dive down for the bowl. actually changed my mind again. Sorry. I'm going to start the bowl exactly where I said I was going to, which is there. But I now want to give the bowl, raise the bowl up a bit. I've got a little bit of wood left to play with on here, so I can give the bowl a little rim, so almost like it's a bowl sat in a triangular vessel, I suppose. So that's what I'm going to do. There we are. I've hollowed out the bowl. I don't want it any deeper than that. Lovely piece of wood, I have to say. And I've ever so slightly rounded off the corners of the tricorn, for want of a better word. And now I need to finish it off, but because there isn't any kind of round surface, doing it while the lathe is spinning isn't really possible. So I'm going to go against what I normally say, or what I rather normally prefer to do, which is use the bowl sander, and instead I'm going to use a power sander, I'm afraid. I'm very sorry, but for a project like this, a power sander is really the way to go, unless you want to sit there and finish it off by hand like this. So I'm not going to bore you with that too much. I will show you a little bit of it, but I don't want any flat square surface like the top of the piece here. So everything's going to be rounded over a little bit more. All round here is all going to be rounded, so when it sits in the hand, when you grab it in your hand like this, it feels much more comfortable without any of the sharp corners. Right, here we are. Power sander in hand, and I'm just using the top of the bowl sander. Now when you do any kind of finishing, it's really important that you use some kind of respiratory protection, and if you have an extractor fan, then use that too. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lock the spindle, and if you've got a spindle lock on your lathe, then it'll be a good idea to use it for something like this. And I'm going to start with 80 grit just to take off the corners and to smooth everything down. I won't bore you with it for ages, but it'll just give you an idea of what I'm up to. Well, that was a marathon sanding. I went over it with the power sander, as you saw, but then after that I went round with papers by hand just to finish smoothing off the curves that I put onto the corners and stuff, and now it feels really lovely. I'm very, very pleased with it. But I've got to apply some finish to it after I've cleaned the piece. And for those of you who watch me regularly, you'll know that I clean my pieces with methylated spirits, which in the US is known as denatured alcohol, and that just helps to pull out the dust from the grain. And the inside of the bowl I took down only down to 80 grit, and the reason for that was because when you get your ingredients in there, you don't want them slipping and sliding all over the place. So a finish down to 80 grit is still smooth enough to look pretty, but also coarse enough for ingredients to sort of key to. Now the outside I'm putting on Danish oil, and on the inside I'm going to use a food safe oil. And that will bring up the piece nicely. Now I want to be careful when applying the Danish oil not to get it inside the bowl. There, and that's all I want to do for the outside for the moment. I'm going to have food safe oil this time. That will do for the food safe oil. So I'm going to take this off the chuck, put it to one side for a couple of hours and let it dry, and now let's do the pestle. Okay, pestle time. I've got the Beech blank in here for the pestle or mortar. I'm not even sure which bit's which, to be honest. Anyway, the little crushy bit, and I'm going to turn it round and put the tenon on this end so it can fit back into the chuck. And then with the piece back in the chuck, I'm going to turn it down to a nice grip and put the rounded end, or the crushy end, on the left hand side, because I like the way this grain pattern goes. So I'm going to put the crushy end on the left and the sort of the handle end on the right. So there's going to be a taper, very slight taper back this way. So the left is going to be a touch thicker than the right hand side. I'm going to use the thin parting tool, and I want to part it off sort of as close to the chuck as I can. So I'm going to move the tool rest down a bit for a bit of extra safety so that it doesn't slip off the end. Start shaping the end, start shaping the top of the end, the handle bit, and then just create a nice contour so it looks like a nice tool to use. Size, there's a thumb grip down the bottom here. It's a good size, it fits in my hand nicely, and I just need now to finish it off. And also, doing a little bit of research on the internet, the best pestles, or the best grindy bits, whatever it is, have a slightly flat bottom, and then you can use the flat bottom of the scrapey grindy bit to hold the ingredients in place in the bottom of the mortar bowly bit, so you can crush them easier. So I'm going to put a slightly flat bottom as per what I've found on the internet. So I'm going to finish it down to 240, the same as the other bit, and then we'll finish this whole thing with a food safe oil, or maybe down to I'll do the bottom bit with the food safe and the top bit with the Danish. And here we are, here's the project finished. Really nice piece. I'm very pleased with it. It feels good when it's in the hand. and there's a nice action in the bottom with the pestle into the mortar. Really pleased with how it's turned out. It's a traditional kitchen item, but I've added a little bit of a twist to it, I think, with the handles and the grips. Yeah, really enjoyed it. It's a lovely piece of wood, and it's going to look really nice in the kitchen. Thank you very much indeed for watching. If you do have any comments, then please do leave them below in the comments section. Please do like, share and subscribe, and as I said, if you've got any comments, then please do leave them below, and I will get back to you. That's it for now. I will see you on Friday for Turner's Journey, and next week for another turning video. Thanks very much indeed for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.